today's cup of coffee, I have to start out with a definition, because our subject, there have been so many people that have absolutely butchered the language at this point, which actually goes to control, actually goes with the subject, which is control freaks.
Our government is an example of control freaks.
It is.
Our states are examples of a control freaks.
Right. And this goes into this, that it very much, it's written about individuals, but it goes much broader than that. But if you understand the game plan, you have a tendency to see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got several references that will be in the description box. I'll mention those as we go through here. Search result. I assume this comes from Google, whatever, but it was the definition of the word freak, because this is how we have de-evolved as a species.
Loves it.
Okay, as a noun, it can mean a very unusual and unexpected event or situation. Like freak of nature. You have a sudden storm. Okay. 2, it could be a person, animal, or plant with an unusual physical abnormality.
Loves it.
Again, freak of nature. 3, a person who is obsessed with a particular activity or interest.
Yeah.
And that can also, you can, as far as thesaurus, enthusiast, fan, fanatic, addict, devotee, lover. 4, a sudden arbitrary change of mind, a whim. And follow this way or that as the freak takes you is the example that they had used. I had never heard it used that way.
No, I haven't either.
So, I don't know. Then as a verb, behave or cause to behave in a wild and irrational way, typically because of the effects of extreme emotion or drugs.
Loves that.
As in,
Great,
the example, he freaked out and smashed the place up. And then the other verb that they have mentioned is a fleck or streak randomly, which I had never heard it used that way either.
A fleck or streak.
That very well may be something that's... Anyhow, their example was the white, pink, and the pansy freaked with jet. That sounds very poetic. That sounds very Brent Swanser-esque.
Yeah.
So, now we know. Now, everybody knows. And as far as the usage of the word freak.
My God. Freak.
So,
you fucking freak.
Talking about control freaks. And Kid actually inspired this search. Do you want to tell them what you were discussing about this?
I was just talking about, like, this TikTok that I saw that she was, like, doing a skit about a cup, like, like, black coffee drinkers versus those of us who drink, like, what Mom calls candied coffee.
I do not call it that. It's decorative coffee. There's a difference.
You call it candied coffee, too.
I have never called it that. But anyhow, whatever. Go ahead.
And so basically the black coffee drinkers are like, oh, you need to just love the aroma, love the flavor, love the darkness of it, blah, 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 all that shit that y'all dark black coffee drinkers do.
So, you know.
And then, like, she finally snapped. And then was like, I just want a fucking sweet treat. I'm sorry. Forgive me for wanting some sweetness in my life rather than something dark and bitter.
Well, and that inspired me. And actually, I have never called it candy coffee. I have referred to it as cowboy coffee. Because that is a term that, especially kids who are just learning to drink coffee, that you've got twice as much milk and sugar as you do coffee. You know, because some of us just, that we like black coffee. We like coffee. I have joked before about decorative. I'm sitting here with a cup of decorative coffee right now. But when you've got somebody that's trying to control how another human being can enjoy coffee, as a world and as a society and as individuals, there's a problem.
Yeah, because in the skit, the black coffee drinker was like, why don't you just, like, drink some real coffee, blah, 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 blah. And that's what made the lady snap.
I think that anybody that has ever listened to us knows that I joke as far as the 9-ounce cups are for those who like the thought of coffee versus those of us that like the 20-ounce mugs that we actually like coffee. Mm-hmm. Some of us need like an IV drip of the substance, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to truly sit there and down another human being because they don't drink their coffee or as much coffee as I do.
But the thing is, you can still get the effect.
Sure.
You can still taste the brew of the coffee, even with decorative coffee or whatever.
Right.
So, like, at the end, it doesn't fucking matter how you drink it.
It doesn't matter if you drink it. We've got people that, they drink tea. Mm-hmm. But the point is, this need to control others. And do I think that it's a spirit? Do I think that this stuff has been weaponized? Absolutely. Remember that any time that you take away the free will of another human being, that is black magic. Dark magic, if you prefer that term.
Yeah.
Of some of the highest degrees or lowest degrees. That is a huge no. Mm-hmm. And discussing this from Medical News Today, this was written by Jennifer Huizen on July 14th of 2020 and was medically reviewed by Janet Brito, Ph.D, LCSW, CST. I don't even know what CST is. Article entitled How to Deal with Controlling People. And says controlling people try to control others or situations. They do so out of anxiety, or they may do it out of anxiety, because they worry if they do not maintain control, things will go wrong. Go wrong for whom?
Anything.
Others adopt controlling behaviors to assert dominance, and this is a form of abuse. To an extent, everyone tries to control what happens in their lives. However, when a person tries to control elements of someone else's life, it can be damaging.
Yeah.
In this article, we describe signs that a person is controlling and how control relates to abuse. We also look at the causes of controlling behavior and how to deal with it. And just like younger kid expressed earlier, this is not just about individuals or family groups or social groups, but it is also on a much broader expanse at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
So it says, someone who is controlling tries to control situations to an extent that is unhealthy or tries to control other people. A person may try to control a situation by placing themselves in charge and doing everything themselves. A person may try to control others through manipulation, coercion, or threats and intimidation. Mm-hmm. Someone who is controlling may want to control people close to them, such as their partner or family members, or they may want to gain power and control over large groups of people. Is this abuse? That's not just a yes, that's a hell yes. And it says, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, a person is abusive if they use behaviors to force someone into doing what they want. These behaviors can include, this is not extensive, physical abuse such as hitting or burning with cigarettes, financial abuse which involves taking control of someone else's money, sexual coercion or assault, emotional abuse which may involve insults, intimidation, or gaslighting, emotional abuse or psychological aggression, which also includes behaviors that undermine a person's self-worth and independence, such as isolating them from family and friends. Now, let's look back at the whole fucking year of 2020.
Yeah.
And it says signs and behaviors of controlling people. Okay, and this goes back as far as intimate relationship. It doesn't necessarily just mean this. All right, demand to know what a person is doing at all times. Monitor devices, social media, or email accounts. Act in a jealous manner and frequently accuse partners of cheating. Dictate when someone can go to school or work. Tell someone what to eat, drink, or wear.
The fuck?
Stop someone from seeing their family or friends. Control someone else's finances so that they lose access to their money. Prevent someone from getting medical care or mental health support. Use insults to break down a person's confidence. Intentionally humiliate someone in public or online. Threaten to hurt themselves or others in order to get what they want. These abusive behaviors may appear slowly, making them difficult to detect, or they may escalate suddenly. This is where people talk about the boiling frog effect.
Yeah.
That if you just throw a frog in hot water, it's going to hop out. But if you put him in there and slowly turn up the heat, he will cook and die, before he even knows it. Mm-hmm. This is what's going on worldwide. Now, this is just, even as I knew this stuff, but as I was researching it, it's like, oh, shit. Truly, oh, shit.
That's a horrible analogy, too, but it's true.
Yeah. And as far as causes of this, anxiety, they say, for some people, attempting to control situations or events is a way of coping with anxiety. For example, a person with obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD may need to have control over their environment or routine due to intense fears of contamination or crime. Treating the underlying anxiety may improve a person's symptoms. Okay, even within that, it is not up to the rest of the world to make the person with OCD comfortable.
No.
It is up to that person to recognize that they have an issue with this, seek help, get help for this, because in some ways that's more than just an OCD if they feel the need to control every other person.
Yeah.
And again, we saw that massively in 2020. We're still seeing it today. Personality disorders, certain ones can be more likely to use controlling behavior, such as narcissistic personality disorder. And my God, that's in epidemic proportions right now. And this is a mental health condition that causes an intense need for admiration, a sense of superiority, and a lack of empathy.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Now, it's different. It's not as, like sociopath is like top of the line.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are the ones I question, are they truly human? Because if you do not have the ability as far as love, compassion, forgiveness, empathy, things that are traits of God, if you don't have any of those, are you truly human? I question. I think that's a spiritual condition on that.
Yeah.
Then you've got borderline personality disorder, and they are hypersensitive to rejection and abandonment and may use controlling behaviors to avoid it. And it says that around 1.6% of the general population has BPD, and that personality disorders are long-term mental health conditions. Some people with BPD make significant improvements with psychotherapy, but they may need 10 years or more of treatment before they can function well in a range of relationships and at work. And I had talked to a therapist one time, and she's like, oh, they never get over it.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah. It says some of it can be learned behavior, and I can see that. It says that abusive partners have often learned controlling behavior and other forms of abuse from other people. They may have grown up in an abusive household or learned from caregivers that it is their right to exert power over their partner or others. Let's look at some of the children of some of the people that are in control, high up in control in our world at this moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And these are some massively fucked up human beings.
Very.
And there's a lot of, even as far as some of the celebrities and stuff like that, you wonder, and some of the allegations or things that have come out about these speculations is the word I'm looking for. that these people may have been abused as children. Some of them have said that they were abused as children. So, it says in these cases it is possible for the person to change their behaviors and attitudes. But for this to happen, the person must truly want to change and take steps to achieve it. What would make them want to change? The fact that their world, they're not getting what they want. Their world is not working the way that it wants to. You know, I love these people. Do they care how many others or who they hurt? Not really, as long as they're getting what they want.
Exactly.
So, and it says it's crucial to know that while mental health conditions and past trauma can contribute to controlling behavior, these issues do not justify or excuse abuse.
No.
And that's one of the first things. Just because you were hurt, that does not give you the right to hurt someone else.
No.
So, counseling 101.
Yeah.
See, we educational and shit.
We educational, man.
Now, part of the problem I have is some of the coping skills and the ways to fight back on these situations. And that depends whether it is personal encounter with some of these controlling people, whether it is a community issue, state, and from, if it's rotten from the top down, how do you deal with this stuff?
Right.
And they're saying here using I statements such as, I feel unhappy, to avoid sounding accusatory. Okay, if somebody is hitting you in the head with a hammer, are you sitting there going, I feel hurt? On some of this, you've got to stop and think, does this make sense?
Yeah.
And then the discussing ways to share control or responsibility. Setting clear boundaries about what is acceptable. And I know this
now
is
they're going to not respect those boundaries.
Exactly.
And what they're going to set, you're going to set those boundaries, and then they're going to look at those boundaries and be like, I know what to fuck up now.
Absolutely. It gives them another place to target. This has been one of the problems that I have.
Not the people with the OCD, but the other.
Go ahead. OCD and the what?
Not the people with the OCD, but like the people that are like really fucked up, like the control freaks and the shit like that.
Right.
Because I've known people with OCD. They're not like that usually.
Right. No, they're not. I mean, it's just a matter of rituals.
Kind. They're really kind people. They're like, I don't like this.
No, they don't. And it's a matter of them learning to control their environment without harming themselves.
Exactly. That's
the whole thing of the rituals.
That's why they're touching doorknobs and such like that.
Right. Right, but as far as
they have stuff set a certain way or whatever. And
as far as them feeling the need to really control other people, I don't know that necessarily goes in with OCD.
No,
not that we have seen.
It doesn't go with OCD at all.
No, it can go with borderline personality disorder. It certainly can do that.
Now, borderline personality disorder, yes, but that's not the same as OCD.
No, it's not. Well, it's not saying just that. It mentioned that. I didn't write this shit. I'm just reading it. But as far as some of the ways to cope with it, and I think this has been something I have had as far as mental health for quite a while. I'm not sorry God removed me from that particular profession on an official basis. In some ways, it's almost like, okay, just don't make the crazy people angry.
What?
Seriously. And it'll become clearer. And I'm not saying, and I feel again like I have to make a disclaimer, as far as the term crazy. Do your own Google search on that. If it bothers you, that is not my problem.
It's not PC.
And it says emotional abuse and
emotional damage
is in an intimate relationship that often predicts physical abuse. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
And it says signs that a relationship has become dangerous include physically intimidating behavior such as throwing or breaking objects or punching walls. Let's look at the Summer of Love. Bringing weapons into a house and using them to intimidate. Now, that can include a baseball bat or a rock.
Or even a kitchen knife.
You could hurt somebody with a plastic spoon. I could show people ways to hurt somebody with a plastic spoon. Okay, harming...
Roll quarters in a sock.
Oh, yeah. Harming or threatening to harm pets or children.
Leave them out of it completely.
How about forcing experimental things on small children? Using threats of violence, self-harm, or death. If you don't do this, you will die. Okay. So we can see how this is going on in our world and has very much been weaponized against the general population. Then there's another one from Very Well Health, and this was by Michelle C. Brooten-Brooks, LMFT. This was published March 22nd, 2022. I told you I couldn't make it up about these 11s and 22s, even if I tried. Medically reviewed by Steven Gans, MD. And it's 10 signs someone is being controlling. And again, some of this is going to overlap, of course, because it's the same information. Controlling behavior can and does become abusive, especially if it causes a person to feel afraid or intimidated.
Yeah.
You raise your hand and you make this symbol, or by shit, we'll beat you down. Again, what is controlling behavior? Coercive or threatening control is controlling behavior that includes ongoing degradation and threats that can lead to domestic violence. How about societal violence?
Right.
How about calling people ugly names, such as, it's interesting that both sides a lot of times are calling the other names that start with the letter N.
Or any.
Those have been some of the main ones lately. Multiple studies have shown that controlling behavior is associated with a higher likelihood of physical aggression or abuse. 10 signs of the controlling behavior. These are the common ones that they have listed. 1, their way or the highway. Controlling people are often inflexible and insist that everything needs to be done their way. They often won't adapt and may not be open to other suggestions or points of view. Now, as somebody that is conservative but basically libertarian leaning, so, I mean, I can see points from both sides.
Yeah.
But I can also see shortcomings of both sides.
Yeah.
And it's like, as people, nobody's ever totally right and nobody's ever totally wrong.
No.
And it's like when everybody's screaming, nobody's listening. And nothing gets done.
Nope.
Except the ones that are the puppet masters sit and laugh.
Exactly.
2, center of attention. They have a strong need to be the center of attention and have the focus on them. Often when controlling people ask about your life, they will quickly redirect the conversation back to themselves. For example, if you don't feel well or are having a bad day, they may say they feel worse, or their day was more difficult than yours. Now, that's a typical narcissist thing always. Doesn't matter what you're going through. So they've been there and done it. So you lost half a foot today? Well, I'm sorry. I lost half a foot and up to my knee. Shit. That's just how it works.
That's fucked up.
It is fucked up. 3, hypercritical or highly critical. They may be highly critical of your actions and feel there is a right or better way to do things, like going back to the coffee. In their mind, this can be a way of helping you improve. It may include subtle remarks or interrupting you to point out small criticism of your words, actions, or appearance. For example, if you have an accomplishment, they may comment on how you could have done things better, or they may congratulate you, but then make a dig or joke at your expense.
Yep.
4, blame others. Controlling people feel that nothing is their fault. Mainstream media. They will use a
government
technique known as projection to shift the blame back to you. This is a tactic that has been massively, again, these are attacks against people.
Yep.
These are psyop attacks. They may even accuse you of things they have done themselves, so they can't be blamed. 5, manipulative. They are highly manipulative, which is one of the key components of controlling people because manipulating others gives them a sense of power and control. Well, I hate to tell them they cannot control God.
No, they can't control the universe at all.
Right.
They can't control the universe. They can't control God. They can't control the planets. They can't control the stars. They can't control jack shit.
They've been lied to and told that they could. But the devil was very cunning and still is. 6, avoid boundaries. Controlling people typically do not respect other
The devil
person's
thinks he has
boundaries.
control, but he, at the end, does not have jack shit.
In healthy relationships, boundaries between two people are respected and valued. For the controlling person, a boundary is a hindrance to their need for control, such as idiots laying down in the middle of a highway at night while they're dressed in black and then wondering how one of them got run over.
Personally, if I did that, my intention was to get it run over. That would be my intention, to get run over.
Guilt trips. Controlling people may guilt you into doing what they want. For example, they may cause you to feel guilty for how you spend your time, such as with friends instead of with them. Or sit there and go, okay, how dare you eat an actual hamburger? How dare you drive something that you're polluting the universe? You're making it to where I can't breathe. Yeah.
My God.
Unpredictable. They're often unpredictable. They can go from being happy to quickly getting irritated, moody, and sulking, especially if they can't get their way. I'll go further than that. Sometimes they can become downright dangerous.
Some of them can.
The number 9, just joking. They may subtly make fun of you or put you down, and when you question the comment, they say they are just joking, or they will accuse you of not being able to take a joke. This is different from playful banter, as it has an edge to it, makes the other person feel ridiculed and uncomfortable. Now, this is something I will say about a lot of the conservatives as far as people's weight.
Anything.
Or how they look.
They literally pick on anything.
It's not anything, but that is primarily one of the things. If someone looks different, and that absolutely any kind of point that they would make on that, once you resort, and especially for females, their physical appearance, you have totally lost any possible conversation that you could have with that individual. That is a stupid tactic.
Look different or act different.
And then as far as, we're just concerned about their health.
Bullshit.
No, they're not.
That is a lie.
Number 10, keeping score. They typically keep a mental scorecard. If they've done something for you, they'll keep reminding that I did this for you, so therefore you owe me. See, I hate that. That was one of the things that Christ said. If you're going to, he basically said, I can't remember the scripture, but it's like, if you're going to give it without strings, or don't give it. So, it's why are some people controlling? Control is a basic social need. It provides a sense of predictability, stability, and order. There are a few reasons that people become controlling. These include personality disorders, anxiety, or a sense of over-responsibility for others. That last one I had not thought about. Over-responsibility for others. That you are concerned that if you don't control them, that they will get hurt.
Yeah.
And it says that, personalities. They're typically formed from early childhood trauma, genetic factors, or brain chemistry. I'm going to add another one. I think it's a spiritual condition. Yeah, I really do. On a lot of people, it's a spiritual condition. It says, here's a few personality disorders that typically exhibit controlling behaviors. Histrionic personality disorder. A person with HPD may be demanding of attention, which leads to manipulation and control-seeking behavior. That's what Leo King has said that he has had before. And where he will interview with Natalie, and I love him. Don't think I'm down on him, because I'm not. But God love him when he does the interview style with the lady, Natalie, and she's very intelligent. He continuously interrupts her and interrupts her.
All the time. He interrupts anyone.
No, because the other day he had started a new show with dude, his name's Brian. Totally different communication style.
Really?
It was. You'll have to watch it.
So then what the fuck is different with her?
I don't
Is it
know.
just because she's female?
I think so. I do. And like I said, I'm not trying to down him. I appreciate him. I love him. But, and he has been very open about this, so I'm not saying anything I shouldn't. I think it's like, dude, you might do a little bit of...
Then why doesn't he do anything to fix it?
He does. He goes to therapy. He is on medication. So, it just because you're in therapy and on meds doesn't fix everything automatically.
It doesn't seem like it's fixing anything in general. It doesn't seem like he's making any sort of steps.
I think that it depends on whatever has gone on in his world prior to. Maybe he will go back, that he has a basis of comparison now, and go, hey, I really need to change how I communicate with her versus how I communicate with someone else.
Right.
When you watch yourself, when you listen to yourself, you may see and hear things that you wouldn't any other way. Narcissistic personality disorder, I already covered. Borderline personality, covered. And like I said, even as far as the obsessive compulsive, it says that they have that they can have perfectionistic characteristics and have a strong desire to be in control of other people, tasks, and situations. So, not sure exactly, like I said, and it's just the ones I have known, what I have studied. I have not known of people that have OCD trying to control others.
No.
And I think your online communities and stuff like that, where people have been very open about mental health concerns.
The OCD, no one's controlling about others. It's mainly, it is just their space and their rituals. That's what they do. They're not controlling of anyone else. It's just like let's say you put a child with OCD in front of a block. They'll put it up in a certain pattern, while the other child without OCD will just put it up randomly.
But there are other conditions.
And then you put the child in front of the block with OCD in front of the random pattern. They will put it back in the exact same pattern and then redo it again to make sure they did it.
That's interesting. And what age does that usually begin to
I don't remember.
be observed? That's interesting, because I can think of other, I don't want to call them conditions, brain differences that can do the same thing as far as need for order and stuff like that. So that's interesting. I'll have to check up on that. Some ways to cope, again. Now, I very much believe, as far as support and connection, reach out more frequently to those in your support network. It's important to have supportive relationships in which others can affirm and validate your reality, feelings, and perceptions. Especially if gaslighting.
Yeah.
Because the whole intent is to make you feel like you are crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is all psyops. Therapy, that depends on the therapist, because some of the people within the mental health field are batshit crazy. Seriously. We can see that. We've seen that going on a lot too. And I like yoga and exercise. I really do. But damn it, that does not fix everything.
No.
It's like those coaches that you'd have whatever you broke or whatever. Take a few laps. Yeah, I had them do that to me, and I had a pulled Achilles tendon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, let me wreck my stuff more.
Mm-hmm. And then this progressive relaxation. And it says, strengthen your boundaries. Learn ways to confidently say no and set firm boundaries. Yes, I agree with that very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to enhance our abilities and ways to set boundaries. Yeah. And that encourages people to enforce the laws that we already have. It's like, do not tell me that I do not have the right to protect myself and my family in my own house.
Right, exactly.
Now, that's absolutely insane and evil.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and it says here, ways to respond. Keep calm. And in a way that is so, because don't let them draw you into their insanity. The I statements. Take your time. Protect yourself by asking for more time. I need time to think about that. Sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes it is a matter of preparation and mentally preparing before you have to deal with situations. And it's like, best way to avoid a hit, sometimes don't be there. If you know that there is a gang of people that's protesting or raising hell or, doing whatever shit it is, stupid shit, unless you are an authority figure that has, that's your job to go into that stuff, don't go down there. Because, that's kind of stupid. No, and God bless our first responders that actually have to do that. And God bless our elected officials that would allow these people to do their job. What if you are the controlling person? Awareness is the first step. That's true of anything. That's true of AA, NA, anything else. We've learned that our lives were unmanageable. That's it. And it says what you can do to improve healthy coping skills. And that includes people that have been drawn into these psyops, that they have been brainwashed. Because somebody that's brainwashed, they don't know that they're brainwashed. Mm-hmm. They truly do believe that they're correct.
Yeah.
Healthy coping skills. Yeah. And that means, as far as a sense of community, do not sit there and tell somebody, that they're stupid or they're ignorant for being drawn into these things. No, they were human. They were usually vulnerable. Mm-hmm. They were needy. They felt like they didn't belong anyplace. All this stuff falls back squarely in the lap of most churches.
Yes.
I have preached that for years, and you know that. Kid has had to hear the same thing for years. Now, soften your tone. It depends on the situation. Now, that was one of the things that they, as far as teaching us to speak with authority, as far as training for a corrections officer. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a time, and you do that with kids. You don't sit there. Now, baby, when you go over there and you sit down. If you've got kid getting ready to poke other kid in the eye with a pencil, you don't sit there. Now, baby, don't do that. You say, stop, drop it, now. That's it. That's parenting on a lot of it. Now, if you was hitting your brother again in the head.
I was never the one hitting him in the head.
Well, he wasn't hitting you in the head.
He was the one hitting me in the head.
No.
He was the one bouncing the ball off my head.
He had right. He absolutely had right.
He was the one scaring the shit out of me. He was the one bouncing stuff off of me.
But
I was the one. I was the one.
Let's go back and look at the many other things that you did to him.
What did I do?
Oh, there was
what did I do?
But
did he deserve it? Did he deserve it?
No.
Yes.
No, not usually. Anyhow, that's a brother thing. But the funniest one was, stop, put that hammer down. Now, that was not a stop, put that hammer down.
That was not involving anyone. That was
go over there, take hammer from child.
That was a jar of paint. That was a jar of paint and me.
That was hilarious, though. I was in the kitchen and I heard the sound of the hammer hitting the glass, and I'm like, well, shit. Mm-hmm. And then they're talking about seek to understand. Sometimes you do seek to understand. It depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to minimize the risks. And then when everybody is calmed, you don't seek to understand usually when somebody is escalated. It is, like I said, now if they're not a threat to themselves or someone else, then you can sit there and do the modern day method of, I understand that you're upset. What can I do to help you feel more comfortable? Because that was some of the training they gave us too. And I get that. And it's, when somebody is horribly escalated and they're screaming and cussing, as long as they can't hit anybody, hurt themselves, let them sit there and scream and cuss. It's like a small child throwing a tantrum. Sooner or later, they will wear themselves out.
Yep.
And here they're saying, give a sincere apology. Now, if this is an individual, yeah, I can see that. I truly can. If you have truly done something that bothered someone that severely, it is not up to someone who has not done anything to cause somebody to have a meltdown to apologize. Don't apologize for things you didn't do wrong. Because what does that do? That gives more power to the person that's trying to seek control. Kid is over here looking at me going, oh God, Mama's on a tangent.
I'm just here.
Sorry, we've had allergies horribly. I'm on 3 different allergy medicines. Nothing works. But yeah, control freaks.
Yes.
Don't be one.
Don't be one, please.
Recognize them. And it is not a matter of beating each other down. It is a matter of when everybody understands that they're being mentally clusterfucked. And to determine they're not going to play that game.
Right.
And when you've got individuals taking responsibility for their own thoughts, emotions, behaviors, that's what, normal, mature individuals do. Families, help them learn how to do that. Communities, states, then you can get in as far as nations and such. Mm. And it's not just our nation right now, because we can see it in all of them. When you tell people they can't grow their own food, that they can't collect rainwater, that they can't, that their cows fart too much. Now that is too.
What? You can't control that.
They're saying that if you decrease the number of animals that you can control it. If you decrease the number of animals, then that decreases the types of foods that people can eat. Years ago, because I tried I tried the vegetarian thing back in the day. I've done the vegan thing back in the day. Became horribly nutritionally deplete. And at some point in my study, I don't know, because I've always been nerd. They said that people who are vegetarian, I'm not picking on, I can't cite the reference right now, but they said that people who do not consume red meat have a tendency to be more passive. People that are passive are easier to control. Mm. Yeah.
Not all the time.
Well, where I had been vegetarian for a very long time, when I got pregnant with the oldest kid, that was the first thing I had craving for red meat. Yeah. Mm. And so I turned my back on vegetarianism after that. Don't be a sheeple.
No, don't be a sheeple.
Learn what it is to be human. Learn what it is to respect and honor other people who are human.
Yes.
But to fight for your right to be human.
Mm-hmm.
Control freaks.
Yes.
No more.
No more.
So if you've had experiences with the paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids,
control freaks,
freaks of any kind.
Yes.
There's some happy freaks, like what was that dude?
Lizard dude.
Lizard man. Yeah, he was cool. He's a cool dude. And what was the other one? Enigma.
I think so.
Yeah, he was the one with the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Those were happy freaks. We like those kind of freaks.
Yeah.
But email us, cupofcoffeewithscream, gmail.com. And, the email address will be in the description box along with the references.
And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all. Have a good... Ooh. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in the controlling shit.
Absolutely. And as Kid Rock said, and Monster Truck, ain't nobody gonna tell me how to live. Don't be telling nobody else how to live. Unless they infringing on you, then all you have to say is get out of my face. Know that you are loved. And if you need prayer or somebody that will listen to you, send us an email. It may take me a couple of days because this kidney stone mess to get back in touch with you, but I will get back in touch with you.
Prayers are appreciated for her.
Yeah, well, I'm living. I'm above ground right now. So we'll see you on the next cup.
Bye.